All right, should be all good to go. I don't know if Sheet's gonna make it. I know he's doing stuff. I know he's busy right now, but we got an hour until lock. So if he wants to pop in here and we can chit chat and talk. Outside of that, it'll just be me talking about this. And let me just check. Okay, cool. So this slate, I think this is probably one of the more interesting slates this year. Only due to mainly due to the track, mainly due to the potential lap leaders, and due to where people are projected to score. Also, I'm way more awake today. I'm not on like 2 hours of sleep like I was yesterday. Um, and when we look at Pocono, and when we look at how big the track is, how bad some of these teams are, the drastic differences in terms of speed between the different teams, we would imagine, right, that people are going to qualify and start pretty close to where they're going to be in terms of speed. When you look at like the average speed of these practice laps and you look at where people are starting, it's no surprise that like the back half of the field is in the back half of the field because like that's the true speed they have. We're not going to have a lot of side by side racing today. It's going to be purely based on speed and where these teams are at. And so when you look at where these teams are at and where they qualify, a lot of people are starting where they should be starting. Okay, and so when we start looking at place differential plays or people that are starting in the backfield with the potential to drive through the field, like clearly Ryan Truex is probably the biggest one. Now he did mess up in turn one on his Q lap, but I mean, real chance, man, real chance that he is just not fast today. Like truly, truly just not that fast and finishes like right around like 14th, 15th. And he's not, a slam dunk place differential play. When we look at like same thing with Riley Herbst, okay? Riley Herbst is the 11th best car today, just based on practice speeds and stuff. And when you combine that with where these guys are at in terms of their, the races this year of where we're at, if I could spell Herbst correctly, Herbst is starting. Actually, let me bring up that on the side here. Give me a moment. All right. You look at Herb starting 18th, and you see, okay, realistically, probably, a fringe top 10 car, probably going to be the 9th, 10th best car, somewhere around here. And then you combine that with where's he at in practice speeds? Okay, 11th best car. That's not, right kind of where he should be. We start looking at 5 lap rankings, and he's 14th. And so it's like, okay, yeah, cool. Riley Herbst will probably fall anywhere between probably 8th and 14th today. And you're like, you start looking at his projections and it's not, a true 5x. And then you look at, somebody like Jesse Love, 15th on 5 lap averages. When we look at where he's at in the practice speeds, you know, you see him right at 15th fastest. We look at where he's been at in these races, pretty much kind of same argument to be made that we just talked about with Riley Herbst. And so, like, these are the three main place differential guys. And, due to the pricing and the builds and how we're going to go, like, Jesse Love would probably be the priority that I would go to there. But still, Riley Herbst, Jesse Love, and Truex are just not, true slam dunk plays. I think this is clearly a race where you want to pretty much diversify and have lineups going drastically different directions and absolutely sacrifice a good portion of your portfolio to try and land on whatever build is going to be or whatever lineup ends up running. This is a situation where I think it'd be very difficult to have a majority of your lineups all kind of move together. I think this is one where you do want to spread it out. And I'm starting with that first and foremost because that would transition to where we're at in terms of value plays. And so when we look at the builds that we're working with, okay, and we understand that these guys in the back of the field are in the back of the field because they're slow, and the true upside nature of these cars are, questionable at best. Like Perkins, when we look at Perkins, we bring up his speed, and you look at where he's finishing these races, yes, he is finishing slightly better than these. But if we don't have, a ton of attrition or wrecks and stuff, which we have had at Xfinity here, but realistically, like we can't really envision Perkins passing more than like, 28th, 29th in position. Same thing with Kyle Sieg, Patrick Emerly, Mason, Ellis, certainly Cram isn't going anywhere. Mussolini himself is not going to move, a ton of positions here. And so when we start looking at the value plays and the builds, like I would probably advise to not get any lower than Brennan Poole. Okay, I think probably the three best, and or Perkins if you absolutely need to be somewhere. But I think the necessity of possibly trying to nail lap leaders, most likely, and we haven't talked about Jones or Sieg yet, but with where the potential that these guys end up scoring, which is anywhere from like 11 to 19 points. It's very unlikely we see a lot of these 5K guys get anywhere near value. Okay, and so that then defaults to, okay, who at least has speed will most likely finish, in like the mid 20s. Okay, if we just need raw points from these guys, who are those individual drivers? Okay, so Perkins would be the cheapest I would go. I think the other two guys are Brennan Poole and Balicki. Okay, Josh Balicki, I don't think he hits value, but I think he's probably going to outscore a majority of the 5K range. Like if he can score 25 points, 24 points, that's pretty much what we're looking for. We're most likely not hitting um, value from Balicki. Okay, Brennan Poole's starting 27. I don't give a shit that he has to do a drive through. Doesn't matter. Okay, whatever, go a lap down. Like we're not concerned about that at all. This is just, he has the speed. Once a yellow comes out, because yellow is going to come out eventually, he will most likely go a lap down. Who cares? Like if we saw Zane Smith basically just be a lap down all day yesterday, and then just every time he tried to get the wave around, it just didn't work. Which thankfully that race, I can't believe it, cannot believe I didn't lose anything there because I had all Zane Smith. It was insane. I feel so bad for anybody who was wanting the race to end there, because the Zane Smith fade was absolutely working. But like Poole, Balicki, and Perkins are like the bare minimum in this race that we can use. And I think that's the farthest down I go. Those are the only guys I would use in that range. Please don't ask me about anything past that, because that is very much, projection based answer. Those are the only three guys that I think are even remotely viable. Okay, yet again, we haven't even gotten to the lap leaders yet, because that can be a ton of people. But when you start looking at the 6K range and the 7K range, you look at Weatherman, you look at Jeremy Clements, you look at Anthony Alfredo, Burton, Williams, Parker Retzloff, DeBenedetto. This range of drivers is all, at least for me, they have a high likelihood of scoring all within, 2 or 3 points of each other. Okay, DeBenedetto starts 23rd. We've seen him have some ish amount of speed in these races, and he's able to gain positions late in the race. The fact that he's starting 23rd is pretty detrimental for him. Like best case situation, we're looking at him, finishing like 20th, 19th. Okay, well, guess what? That's scoring very similar to Anthony Alfredo holding his position, losing a position. Josh Williams and Matt DeBetto pretty much identical. Jeremy Clements pretty much identical. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to not land in the 6K range uh, here at all. Because if you're playing these guys in the 6K range, it's most likely showing that you either already have Ryan Sieg in the lineup or you're not using Ryan Sieg. Because Ryan Sieg's, projected points today, just based on him actually, somewhat showing speed, and this isn't, oh my god, he's an SHR car. Like, who gives a fuck? Okay. When we look at where Ryan Sieg is, right here, inside a top 10 car. But the fact that he's $6,800 gives him the true potential of finishing, eighth, and pretty much working. If he could scrape off 2 fast laps, it kind of solidifies him being optimal. If he scores anywhere like close to like 35, 36, 37 points, he's pretty much being the optimal play. Okay. Same thing with Brandon Jones. With Jones at $7,700. Okay, yet again, when we're looking at the fact that we're going to have very little passing this race, everybody's starting where they should be. Brandon Jones, same thing with Ryan Sieg. Like, just because they're 77 and $6,800, like they can easily outscore the rest of those ranges. Because like who's Brandon Jones racing directly against in fantasy points? He's racing directly against Barry and directly against SVG. Okay, more than likely he's able to maintain a run position higher than those individual drivers. I don't see Barry passing the people to push Jones out. I don't see SVG realistically scoring the 35 points needed to, I mean, real chance like Jones is scoring 35 points as well. So I would just take the upside of potential fast laps and laps led from Jones versus SVG. Okay, so we've identified that we got like 3 guys that we can play in the 5K range. The 6K range is like anybody can score pretty much the exact same amount no matter where they're at. Okay, and so like who's going to lead in this race? Who's your main lap leader? When we look at the practice laps, okay, we see that yet again, like who like I personally don't give a fuck if Ryan Sieg wins the race or not. Okay, with him at his price range, it's just, hey, can you run sixth all day, and that'll be optimal. Okay, so like him having this massive amount of speed, if you're thinking he's going to win today, I think you're a bit delusional. But if you think he can maintain a run position in the top eight, like this is very much in there. But when we're looking at who's going to compete for the win, okay, main contenders are Byron, Custer, Allgaier. I think we can see that when we look at these races recently. We see Allgaier. Let me type in Justin here. You see, oops, this is where Allgaier has been. This is where Custer has been. I mean, clearly the two best cars. You know, Byron's done the one race, but he did it at Dover or Darlington. Where was he at? Uh, Darlington, and did not have the best car. And then you have Austin Hill. And so when you look at, and we can throw in Sam Mayer as well, because these guys are all in play based on their potential scoring stuff. And so, like, can Austin Hill realistically score, 48 points a day and just place differential, getting up to, the mid, top 10? Yes. If he can do that, depending on what's going on with the rest of the field, like Austin Hill can be, very much in play today. Same thing with Sam Mayer. Okay, so yet again, if you're looking at Austin Hill, Sam Mayer, we're not looking at them being lap leaders. We're looking at them, outscoring somebody like Justin Allgaier. Like if Allgaier doesn't lead here, he's not going to be in play to be optimal, and his price tag would indicate that lineup is pretty much being forced down, and it'll be outscored by Austin Hill and Sam Mayer. Byron at 12,000 needs to win the race, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and so when I'm looking at this race here, I honestly don't care who I'm getting to lead laps, because honestly I can't project anybody to like truly want to run away with the race or even win. Like clearly the favorites are William Byron, Allgaier, in that order between like those two to win the race. Like I'm not playing Sheldon Creed. We're not playing Creed at 97. Okay, Creed just has not shown the ability to stay up there. It's like I'm not playing Sheldon Creed today. Okay, this is a situation where I would not be playing Sheldon Creed. Okay, yet again, I don't like Jones to win the race, but his price tag pretty much makes him needed, or you need to have exposure to him based on what the other 7K range is doing. So he's irrelevant for like a lap leader talk. We're not playing, Taylor Gray starting fourth at $8,000 because there's better $8,000 players. Jesse Love, Herbst, although I think Herbst is, in the nine, but like we're not playing Gray starting fourth. We're not playing Chandler Smith because he has not shown the ability to pull away from the rest of the field. This is where Chandler Smith has been at. Okay. Clearly not, even in the same category as the other guys at these previous races. And when we look at the practice data, like, oh, he's seventh best, but he's like, a country mile behind the other guys who are going to be competing. And so, like, when we look at William Byron, Cole Custer, Allgaier, like I don't have a favorite between either of those. That's why I started saying this is one where you're going to diversify and you're going to have lineups that are clearly not going to cash. Because if you play, you know, Cole Custer and he doesn't lead, that lineup's dead. If you play Allgaier and runs an issue, those lineups are dead. So personally, I would spread out ownership up top on your lap leader, because I just don't have a take that's going to be helpful at all in that category. I'm more so focusing on the fact that I know where I'm going in the 5K range, between those three guys. And I'm most likely probably going to use Brennan Poole because one, he's going to the rear. I'm sure people will be like, or not going to the rear, but he's like doing a pass through. So people will be like, oh my God, we can't play Brennan Poole. Whereas like Brennan Poole starts last every week. Okay. And we know Poole has like the 24th best car. Like I have no concerns on Poole not being able to pass it through the field. It's just, can he outscore the people in the 5K range? The only ones he'd be compete against would be Balicki and most likely Perkins. A lot of question marks around Ryan Truex. So, like, honestly, I would probably rather play the place differential that Jesse Love and Riley Herbst can give me versus Ryan Truex. Because if Truex, you know, can't get through the field and just finishes like 17th and stuff, Riley Herbst and Love will outscore him. Okay. And so, like, I would not be like having 55, 60% of Ryan Truex. Like, I would personally probably cap my stuff at like 35. I would not want to be overweight on Truex at all to the field at all. And I think it's going to be probably least projectable Like, he has to be, like, the highest projected guy on the slate due to the place differential he offers and the, instability between the potential lap leaders. So, like, Truex would probably be the highest owned guy on the slate, or at least the top two. And I would just want to be under that. Like, those are my takes. I truly don't have a feel for who's going to be the lap leader in this race. Also, before I check the chat, I'm going to have a lot of very uncomfortable lineups today because I'm going to have a lot of lineups that are like Ryan Sieg, Brandon Jones, Jesse Love, like a ton of people starting in, the top half of the field, if not, you know, really like three guys potentially in the top 10 just due to the pricing and the fact that that raw points, they're going to be outscoring people who start in the back of the field. Like, I just don't see like Williams past a lot of people to be the best 6K guy. Corey Heim, like we've seen Corey Heim in these races before. And this is where he's at, man. Like, Corey Hyman is just like I mean, that's why I just keep going back to I think Jesse Love is probably the best play in the slate, and I would probably want more Riley Herbst than Corey Heim or Truex. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, we look at Heim, like this is not speeds that's gonna automatically push him into the optimal. And this is if things go green. I mean, if we have restarts or whatever. But like Jesse Love, similar speed, cheap, easy to get in your lineups. It's kind of a shame that Herbst was so bad in practice, and this is bad. When we're looking at where Herbst had been, Herbst probably should have showed more speed in practice. I'm sure he'll make up for it in the race itself. But like, these are Love and Herbst. They're probably the guys I'm going to be building around for a majority of my lineups. So we'll see what you guys are saying here. 111 of you guys are here. Also, shout out to everybody who played Luke yesterday. Why was he so high owned? Why was Luke so high owned? Like, Sheets and I didn't understand that yesterday. I couldn't fathom it in the that's like insane. Like, what? And why do people not play Dean Thompson? Like, you're telling me the Dean Thompson chalk has been eviscerated this entire year, and then this was the one where it's like, oh, this random Luke guy is projecting better, and everybody went to Luke instead of Dean. Like, what the fuck are people doing? That made like no sense at all. What's going on, Stan? What's going on, Eagles? What's going on, Josh? 10 seconds to love. Also, that's why I'm wearing the crew shirt, because we got Jesse Love, man. How can you not like Jesse Love? Yeah, so I mean, I'm probably not playing Kyle Sieg today, Sterling. Um, Starting 33rd, 28th. What do I got him projected for? I gave Kyle Sieg 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gave him 27th today, man, and that's just a no-go for me. I actually think so. Like, speaking of like all these guys are going to project very similarly as well. Like, this is where, at least, I mean, I've stayed the guys that I'm being aggressive on. Um, I'm really interested. Isn't the word, because that always like makes people like, oh, these guys, he's going to have the most of this guy. But like, I'm not going to go overweight him. But I actually really like Balicki today. I really, really do, especially if we get yellows later in the race. Like, Balicki has done a phenomenal job of finishing better than where he is running late in the. I mean, similar to Poole as well. But like, I would be very, very interested in Balicki today. I'm probably only gonna do like 12 lines, so I'm probably gonna have like Balicki at 3. But I'm just saying, like, I kind of really like Balicki today. I think he's a great tournament play. I still like Poole. Like, why would we not play Poole, man? Oh my God, he has to go through pit lane. Like, Poole's at 55, easy to work with. This is where he's at in all these races. And specifically, when we look at where he finishes in these races, now this is everything, road courses, whatever. But Poole, very similar to like Haley in the Cup Series, to where like I haven't been playing Haley in the Cup Series up until, I guess Nashville or whatever. Like, I was missing on that, like, because Haley was killing it. Whereas like Poole in every is clearly it's depending on where he qualifies. But like these finishes are like wildly consistent. Like he's carrying these alpha beta prime cars far above what everybody else is able to do. Like 20th, 21st, 16th, 28th, 14th, 16th, 31st, 20th, 22nd, 5th, 21st, 14th, 28th, 15th, 20th, 19th, 20th, 19th. Like why would you not play pool here? Like raw points wise, like I think pool is probably the best value. And if people are worried about him going through the pit lane, like that would just lean to me like, oh, I probably want to be overweight on pool. So favorite and least favorite in the 10K range. Least favorite's probably Sam Mayer. And it's tricky. Like, yesterday with Corey Heim, which I thought there'd be more shenanigans played. I was very, very disappointed up front in that race. But like the two guys who are probably going to compete for this race are Justin Allgaier and Byron, right? Like it's those two guys. And the question doesn't even become like, oh, what do they need to be optimal or whatever? Like one of those guys will most likely win the race. Okay, that'll force them to be optimal. Um, I don't have to feel like I would lean Byron myself. Like I'm probably gonna have more Byron than Justin Allgaier today. Um, but like I said, I don't have any data point that's like pointing one way or the other on either of these guys. I think they are identical plays, and I would just take Byron because I think those lineups are a bit more tricky to build, and I feel like I have a better chance of getting better playing Byron lines than, or getting different rather, playing Byron lines than um, finding an edge getting different with my Justin Allgaier lines. But I'm gonna have both. I'm probably gonna have 5 of each today in my 12 most likely. I actually like the idea of playing them together. If we're chasing raw points, like that's why we're playing Sieg. That's why we're playing Jones. Like, shoot, man, projections be damned. Like Byron and Allgaier together. Like, I don't think that's going to be optimal, but that's a heck of a combination on raw points, especially if they both lead and they're both scoring like mid 50s together. Like, I think that could be enough to make it work. Especially yet again if you're, and that's probably when you need like 2 of the 5K guys. Um, but like that's a build that I like as well. I just don't have a lean on the lap leader at all in this race. Don't have it at all. Daniel Dyer below. I don't even know what his price tag is. He's at 66. Daniel Dyer below. Well, we've already talked 10 minutes on that. I will add DiBenedetto's another guy. Yet again, not going to have a ton of them, but I will be playing some DiBenedetto. When we look at what good old Matty D, 17th best in practice, which right off the bat, good to see. Potential of, yet again, I don't think he's going to hit value, but that's good to see based on where he's starting. Okay. We then look at where DeBetta has been in these races, which isn't surprising. He is typically finishing better than where he runs. Like it's either a drastic finish higher up or he's had like horrendous late race charges. But like, I think DeBenedetto, I would probably want to play DeBenedetto over Daniel Dye, over Weatherman, over Williams, and over Clements. Okay. Yet again, I've already mentioned how I like the 6K range, but like I don't hate DeBenedetto. Really don't. Especially if you can't afford or already have Ryan Sieg in that lineup, like DeBenedetto would probably be the guy I go to. That I haven't probably talked about yet. I just think it's irrelevant. Let's see what SaberSim is saying. I don't want to put my stuff on there, but let me just see really fast what they're doing. Oh no. Well, not oh no, but so we do have my stuff is uploaded to SaberSim now, so we don't have to like you don't have to manually put it in there anymore, but I have to move it to the side because I don't just want to give that away. Okay, cool. So we got that. But when you look at it's on the side. Hold on. Are we just out of stuff? Yeah, I guess so. Hold on. What does this look like? Nope, still there. Oh well. Big rip. Why is my projection just showing up there? Well, that's not gonna work. Well, when you look at SaberSim, you're going to notice that nearly nobody is projected for value. And when you're looking at the 5 and 6K range, everybody is pretty much within 2 points of each other. Like there is absolutely no difference here. Um, so as I've stated, I think this is I for me that pushes me to being like, okay, if it's very unlikely that people are going to be scoring drastically different from one another, and not only are they within several points of each other, but when you're in the back of the field, you're very very limited in what you can score if you don't have a car that can move up. So like even in a 6K range, there's going to be guys scoring like 17, like 22 points. I would just take the raw points of Ryan Sieg and Jones in the top half of the field, hoping they finish in the top 12. And even if they fall out, real chance they're still scoring the exact same points the other guys. So I would prioritize people starting up front in this race more so than normal. But that's where I'm at. People see that 27 to 10th. I don't. I'm not. You have to let me know what you're referring to. If that was me going through to Benedetto, which I assume it was, and I more so meant that's I mean, I know you know what I mean, but I more so meant it and just on like same thing like Balicki. Like I just feel like the Benedetto and Balicki are probably like you should probably play them today. I don't know. That's just kind of where I have feelings on. Just because everybody's so close together. But I mean, the higher priced guys like it'd be Allgaier and Byron. You're most likely not playing those two together. I said you could, but more than likely you're not playing those together. Okay. And so like I mean that's my answer. Like I said, I lean more Byron, but I think those two are the main contenders here. And even with Truex, man, I just think there's a lot of issues with Truex today. There's a real potential that he just doesn't get up through the field, and it's not because of yesterday. This is just where we're at looking at Truex's stuff. He should have ran better in practice. Like this is where I do look at practice and like that's crazy. Not because he's in different groups, but like this Toyota car, you're kidding me, right? This car should be far faster than what this is. And so for me, when I see this type of stuff, and yet again, I'm not saying Ryan is bad or whatever, but same thing with like Dover. Like he did not have a good car at Dover. He did not practice well at Dover. He didn't do anything at Dover outside of winning at the last possible minute at Dover. But that was like an underperformance for Truex at Dover when we look at it in terms of what speed he had. And I'm gonna be underweight on Truex. I just don't. I would not want to be with the field or over the field on Truex today. That's just where I'm at. See, same thing with like Corey Heim. Like, I mean, I've already mentioned that as well. But like Corey Heim as well. Like Corey Heim starting 25th. We'll walk through this together, right? We'll use Corey Heim as the main example here. So we got where's Corey at? Okay. So we see where Corey's at. 14th best car in practice, right? We see that when we just look at averages. We're not looking at individual laps. So we look at his individual best lap. If I can sort this correctly, we see Corey 12th. Okay. All right. We look at where he's at in terms of these long runs, right at 13th and stuff. Okay. So that should probably be where he falls in line at. When we look at these races here, he's the 13th best car at Vegas, 18th best car at Texas, underperformed at Dover. Recently, it wasn't Dover. Ooh, is he? I'm missing a race. I'm missing a race. Unless it was, it couldn't be Dover. Let me look. I gotta look back. So the last race that Corey Heim ran for Sam Hunt, if I'm not mistaken, might be a short track. Maybe that's why I didn't bring it up here. Although I could have swore it was Nashville. It may have been Loudon. But he did run into a mechanical issue I think it was Loudon actually. That's why He's not on the screen here. No, it wasn't. Who am I thinking of here? It was Reddick. Okay, so yeah, Reddick. So Reddick ran, the Sam Hunt car ran to an issue at uh, Nashville and just wasn't able to get. No, no, it was Corey. Okay, so Corey ran Loudon, right? Dominated Truck Series, whatever, or expect to be fast and everything at Loudon. Start 7th, not standout practice, finishes 10th at Loudon. We have Reddick then take over at Nashville, and like the situation where like, yeah, dude, Reddick should have done way better than this here. Okay. So when we're looking at where, you add Reddick to this, and you look at where Corey's at and the rest of these, and so like this car is pretty much capped at these racetracks and similar racetracks, right around this area and stuff. Okay, so when we start projecting Corey for like passing up through the field, like what does that even mean, passing up through the field when you're the like 14th best car in practice, and that's kind of where we're expecting that car to be at. So when you start projecting Corey Heim to finish 15th or something, that puts Corey right at, like 39 points. That's a 4.4 value. Okay. So you would probably be doing better and better spent time going to Jesse Love for slightly less, playing Riley Herbst. And maybe that is enough. Maybe a 4-4 from Corey Heim is enough to get there. Like I'm 41 points today. But even still, like that's just not throwing me towards him. And so like I will probably be underweight on Corey Heim. I'll be underweight on Ryan Truex. I'm going to bank on a lot of the guys who start up front, maintain a run position up there, and outscoring people like Corey Heim and potentially pushing out people like Truex in this race. Same thing with the value with Ryan Sieg, Brandon Jones. That's where I'm at. That's why, like for me, like honestly, like it doesn't even matter like what I do up top with the lap leader. Like what if I just diversify? I'm gonna have lineups that have no chance of cashing because I have the wrong lap leader. Like that is not the point, or that is not where I want to lose this contest, or completely throw these lineups away. Is like debating all day of what lap leader I want. Like that, I would be very disappointed if I spent this whole time debating that. Whereas, okay, cool, I've identified the 5K guys I want. I know I want to be underweight on Corey Heim, Truex compared to the field. I'd love Jesse Love, Riley Herbst, et cetera, et cetera. Like that, I'm comfortable building that way, and then truly ending up with whatever lap leader I end up on. Like that. That's how I'm approaching it today. Like Honeyman as well. Like I'm just not going to play Leland today. AJ did slightly do better than than SVG in the Cup race at Chicago. So AJ does have that going to him. I think you can give him like a 0.2% bonus in speed because his depression isn't nearly as bad as it could be. But yeah, just poor AJ, poor AJ, and 80. It's so funny. Like I don't know if it started because the guy tagged Steven in the post, but it's just poetry that he commented in that post, man. And okay, so I got to talk about Steven really fast before we get like, if you guys want to do real questions and stuff, feel free to type them back in. We got 30 minutes until Slate locks. I'll probably be live for another 5 or something. But like, Steven is such an iceberg, man. This fellow down here is incredible. Because okay, so like I know, like I have personal beef with the guy. Like I don't like the guy clearly. Okay. And I have not tweeted at him or done anything because his mom has already tweeted at me, and that has made my life. Like I might have that on my tombstone that a NASCAR driver's mom defended him and like tweet at me. Like that's like I don't need to ever tweet at him again, right? But like so I don't like him. Okay. The DFS community is split in half between the people who like got on their knees for him, and then the other half of like, wow, this guy's a fucking clown. Okay. So like I understand why I don't like him. I understand why people in the community like him. I understand why people in the community don't like him, okay? But then you completely separate both those avenues to the public? Like now there's public race fans like shitting on this guy on like on their own accord. Like people dislike him on their own merits that aren't related to our industry at all. Like the whole start and parking thing is incredible. Like that is so funny. Nobody has gone on after somebody starting and parking in NASCAR and I'm like, of course it's Steven. Of course he's the guy. Like it's incredible. Like I couldn't be I'm not I couldn't be happier if I tried. See that just random people on the internet also don't like Steven. Like that's incredible. And then you have the ride or die guys of like, Steven, you're the best. You got this. You're my favorite Pennsylvania driver ever. Like this dude is so interesting. It is so crazy. I can't even fathom it at all. Absolutely wild. And the fact that he's just on Twitter all the time, like searching stuff and finding his own, like he's going out of his way to find people talking about him. Like that even makes it better. It's incredible. Maybe I do need to do a video during the off season of the Mussolini iceberg. I remember Toby Christie and all those other guys were like, "Why don't you do like?" And I was like, "This guy's an iceberg. This goes forever. Like that would easily be like a 45-minute video." Maybe I'll do that during the off season if I'm completely bored. Or Olympic break. Man, if I'm bored, I might spend 2 days doing that. Let's see. Let's see, Joshua. I'm not playing Barry. Uh, I mean, that's a tough. Like, I have no fucking clue what to do with Barry. What I did. Okay, so we see Barry here. 21st best. We know where Moffitt took this car last year, and Moffitt, who has phenomenally more talent than Barry or Deegan, that car was pretty much a 12th place best car. He'd carry it to the end of races with some top tens, but he would run like 12th to 14th, right? I just don't think that works today in terms of fantasy points, in terms of what the build is like. And so for me, just for that reason, I'm just not playing Barry. That's where I'm at there. No, that was about Luke. Oh, yeah, Luke at the fucking Richmond race. Yeah, that Luke ownership was wild. That projection was wild. Everything about Luke was wild. Who was pushing that? Who was pushing that? Who carried that? Who carried the industry with that? Uh, yeah. So Taylor Gray versus Brandon Jones, which is the head-to-head that is gonna be the first point of this, um, like this contest. And so when we look at we'll compare these two specifically, right? This is where Jones is at. This is where Jones has been running. Okay, which is you know not great, not worrisome, quite worrisome. Okay, so what does Jones have to do here? Okay, let me remove all these points and we'll talk through this stuff. So like Jones starts the race off, with 42 points, right? He loses a position, that's 40. Okay, he's in third. He goes to fourth, and that's 38. Okay, 4.9 value. Yet again, we talked about what Truex is most likely going to be scoring. Actually, I was talking about Heim. When we look at Truex, actually, was that the question? Why would we be comparing those two guys? Oh, Taylor Gray and Jones. My bad. I was like, why am I looking at Gray or why am I looking at Truex? These guys are in two drastically different price ranges. Get that back there. Taylor Gray and Jones. I would still prioritize Jones over Taylor Gray. I would prioritize Jones over Gray. That's where I'm at. Barry Kligerman, I'm not getting to Kligerman. I'm not getting to Barry. That's just where I'm at. Just my numbers just have no indication that I should be even considering them at all. So I'm just not doing that today. And see, that's not the case. Like SaberSim is not. I'm gonna assume it's Stevie, from Roto Grinders, and because I mean I can look at what SaberSim had him yesterday really fast. Let's see. Let's see. SaberSim had Luke at. Yeah, he was 33 on SaberSim. I'd have to see what other people had him. I just don't think it was purely SaberSim, to be honest. I think the industry was just higher on him in general. Which, as more people watch these shows, you know, and more people at least aware of ownership in the two lower series, there will be like gigantic pools, like still straight up to today, like Stevie's projections, good, bad, whatever your opinions are. Like Stevie has a lot of pool in the two lower series. Okay, um, more so than SaberSim, more so than another site that I won't even attempt to even utter the word after dealing with shit for like 4 months. But I just don't. Had to be Stevie. It had to be somebody, or they were all pulling from the short track, which is just weird. It's just a weird projection on Luke yesterday, all around ownership, projected score. That was just weird. That was just very weird. Um, one car accident changes all very. Oh yeah, I mean, of course, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. Also, I mean, look, public knowledge now, public information. Steven, why are you so goddamn slow in a race car if you could just not do the speed limit in real life? Like, if you got fired, do you know how difficult that is to be fired from a delivery job due to speeding tickets? That's incredible. That's wild. He's got to be one of these clowns that like just speeds through like just any road you're on, but has like no driving sense whatsoever. Like Steven, we're just learning more and more about Steven. I don't even have to. I like it's public knowledge. The TV talked about it. I'm not even bringing it up. I'm just saying, like, that's crazy. Um, yeah. Anyway, so that's it. I'm sad that Sheets wasn't able to join me today. Hopefully tomorrow. But best of luck, guys, and we'll see what happens in this race. Yet again, I'm just gonna be playing a lot of uncomfortable lineups today. A lot of guys up front. Jones, Sieg, probably gonna be dictating how my day goes straight up. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys later. Best of luck.